Great.
Yep. Started.
There we go.
We just give a few more minutes for folks to trickle in. We know that it's lunch hour. So for those of you who are here and this is your lunch break, please feel free to help yourself to lunch. You are more than welcome to have your cameras off for the duration of this, if that is more comfortable. We will get started shortly in a couple of minutes. So yeah, sit back, get comfortable, and we'll be starting in a few minutes. For those that have just joined us in the last minute, welcome. We will be getting started in a few minutes. For now, sit back, get comfy. Yeah, we're just waiting for a few more folks and we'll get going shortly. Thank you. All right. I think we can get going. I'm seeing the number of participants have kind of stabilized. So hopefully that means that most of you are here. And if there are newer folks joining us, we'll just welcome them really warmly when they do. My name is Sukjin Ong. You'll get to hear more from the rest of the team shortly. And we are just so excited to welcome you to our continuous sabbatical info session. Susie, if you could advance the next slide, please, that'd be great. So it's been a long time coming. We know that you have heard this team at Nexus really building out this work around rest very intentionally for our communities of color. So we're really excited to roll out this particular part of our work to all of you. Whether you're here for yourself or you're here to bring back information to other community members that you're a part of, we're truly grateful for your interest. Before we get into it, I thought I'll do some housekeeping so that we are well situated for this hour. So this hour that we're going to spend together is split into half. The first half would be the ROOT team going through the information about the Continuous Sabbatical Fellowship. That's why you're here today. And then the second half would be for questions. So if you have questions, we would really encourage for you to hold it until the very end, so that we could get through the presentation that we have for you to hear today. This presentation is being recorded for the benefit of those who couldn't make it, as well as yourselves, so that you can go back to the materials later. So this webinar will also be placed on our website. By joining this, you're giving consent that we are recording this webinar, but if you do not wish to be recorded, you can always watch the recording later, email us your questions if you have any that's unresolved. So that's also another route that you can take. You will be placed on mute for the presentation that we have here today. And so if you want to send us questions, we really encourage you to use the Q&A function. Everybody can see the question, which helps because maybe your question is the question that someone else has too. So please don't hesitate to use that Q&A box to drop your questions when you have them. If you need closed captioning, Zoom has that option enabled as well. So if you want to pull that up to make it easier, definitely encourage that. The one thing that we will say is for your questions, please put it in the Q&A portion. We will keep track of the questions that we will answer along the way to the best of our ability in the time allotted. But if we miss your question, please don't hesitate to reach out to us at our email address, rootsupport@nexuscp.org, which we will show again later in this presentation. And same thing, if you thought of a question later, don't also hesitate to do that. The materials here that we will share today reflects everything that we have on our website, and the FAQ, that we really took time to make sure that the website and the FAQ is as comprehensive as possible. So we really encourage you to keep revisiting those pages to familiarize yourself with the materials that we have. So that's the housekeeping that we have for you here today. Before we go into it, we want to ground you a little bit in this beautiful visual that one of our community artists, Tori Hong, worked with us on. And as you just settle your eyes on the different, imagery that's evoked here, we hope that you see that rest and how we choose to reclaim our time can show up in so many different ways. And that's really our wish and vision for our communities, that our rest is abundant. It shows up in multiple ways that honors who we are, who our families, our ancestors, our communities are, as we seek to reclaim our time for ourselves. So with that, the next slide. So this is the team that's been working really hard. All three of us are here on this call today. With the support of our sabbatical design committee, our Nexus colleagues and beyond, we've really been able to truly craft something together that hopefully reflects some of the dreams and desires of our community members. I want to ask the different team members to say hello to you all. So with that, Susie, why don't you kick us off?
Yeah. Thank you. Hi, everyone. I'm so excited to be here with you all today. I'm Susie, she, her pronouns. I'm the ROOT program manager. And I'm just going to share quickly that rest is awesome. We all want it. And it can be a lot of work. How many times have you felt guilty for resting or said, I could have used my time in different ways? And so I hope that after today, this encourages you to continue resting outside of just this opportunity, and encourage others to do so as well. And I'll pass it to Rosalba.
Thank you, Susie. My name is Rosalba Hernandez, she, her pronouns. And I get to work in partnership with the amazing people here today, Sukjin and Susie. My wish for you today is that you be able to have time to reflect on the abundance and the many facets of rest as it comes through in reclaiming our own time, which can be physical, mental, emotional, all of the things, and that there be abundance in those dreams. Thank you.
Thank you for that, both. Once again, everyone, my name is Sukjin Ong. I go by Sukjin and she, her pronouns. Also one of the co-director of ROOT. My wish here today is that you can think of all the amazing people in your life that also deserves rest, that also desires this, and ways in which that we could keep funneling that to each other, because we all deserve this. So with that, let's go to the next slide. We're going to talk a little bit about the context of this work. The work that we're doing here at Reclaiming Our Own Time, or ROOT, is not just the sabbatical. We do more than the sabbatical. We are part of a movement to provide resources, support, and spaces for rest and restoration for people who identify as Black, Indigenous, and persons of color. So what you'll see here largely is our framework that shows the two buckets of our work: our commitment to community and our responsibility to the ecosystem. If you have followed our work for a while, maybe you have attended one of our Reimagine Rest series events, we are trying to create more of these community-based opportunities where people can gather, explore what that rest practice might look like in that reclaiming of time for oneself. We also send out care packages, which includes, links and resources that you could tap into virtually. So if you haven't, go on the website, sign up for it. It's a newsletter that we send out twice a quarter. We are also building out, programs like this sabbatical fellowship that you'll hear more about as part of our commitment to help community explore what rest looks like for them. And then there's the work that we have with, other ecosystem change makers around rest. So that's where we are tapping into network of BIPOC healers and healing practitioners so that they're able to keep doing this work as well. We're tapping into other people who are working on sabbaticals and rest programs here in Minnesota as well, so that we can keep dreaming and building this out abundantly. And also really thinking about resourcing up work in the future around, like, what does this look like to bring it to like employers and spaces where, all of us find ourselves working really hard, but really deserving that rest. So more to come, but if anyone's curious about specifics, you're more than welcome to reach out to us to talk more about the other pieces. So with that, today we are going to talk about the ROOT Continuous Sabbatical Fellowship. We are really excited to try something different because we know that sabbatical programs are oftentimes crafted with a very specific group in mind, oftentimes, in places where if you are you don't have that privilege of access, you just don't get that kind of resourcing. And we want to try and flip that on its head and create something that is more accessible for our community members, given the guidance that we have received. So with that, at the high level, and we can go to the next slide, this cohort will be a cohort of 10 peers who wants to rest deeply. And the opportunity is to take a 3-month continuous sabbatical during the duration of this year. So the persons chosen have all the way up to September 2025 to make that happen. But as a part of that, they will receive some support to build that out. So there will be cohort sessions this fall for the chosen fellows to work out their plans around rest. They will receive up to $30,000 to build out the sabbatical plan, because taking 3 months off is not insignificant, especially if you're pausing from work, if you are needing to pay your bills and support yourself. That's where we hope the financial support kind of kicks in and supports that. We are also providing connections with coaches, with healers, with other guides that you might need for your own rest practice building, resources such as a rest journal, other materials for reading and reflection, and also a retreat at the very end to then think about, like, if we had that whole experience of a sabbatical, how do we continue practicing rest as we go about doing the work that we have in our lives. So next slide. Awesome. So if you're wondering what that time commitment looks like when you're a part of this cohort, fellows are required to take that 3 full continuous month off for their sabbatical. What that means is that you'll have to also be able to fully disconnect from work, right? Whether that's paid work or unpaid work or organizing, whatever it is that you're committed to right now, to be able to take that 3 months off to deeply step into rest. We want you to be able to minimize communication with said work during your sabbatical unless there's an emergency, so that you can really focus on recentering yourself. We also want our fellows to be able to commit to the work that's needed for that sabbatical experience, because, you know, one does not just step away for 3 months, right? Think about the coordination that's required with your respective workplaces or places of volunteer, or the activism work that you're working on right now. Like, how do you set those boundaries, set those clarity of communications, so people know that they're supporting you in your sabbatical, and they're supported as well in you stepping away? And how do you make sure that you can truly engage in that deep rest? And then the last bit is that we require that you're committed to the whole point of the sabbatical, right? That you are going to rest. Like, we have spoke with many folks who have done a sabbatical. We have read the research about what that deep rest truly does for us. And that does mean that, you know, you're not taking on additional obligations during those times, so that you could truly be in that space of resting. So it does take work. It's not just like, oh, I got it, and then that's the end of it, right? It does really take that commitment. And we're hoping that by resourcing up your ability to do that, that you're able to really embrace the spirit of a deep sabbatical. Next slide. So what does the experience look like? Those of you who have attended our Reimagine Rest series will know what that feels like. So of course, as fellows of this program, we encourage you to do the same. We will have a virtual orientation on September 20th. There will be deep consciousness raising sessions in the fall. That's the cohort sessions that we have in person, where you get to be with others in the exploration of what that rest looks like. And then the culmination is that retreat in September 2025 that you'll be a part of as well. There will be some opportunities to touch base so that the group learnings don't just disappear, and that will happen in spring 2025. So those are the virtual sessions. And then also, if there are additional, you know, work that you're doing to plan out that sabbatical, you know, whether it's with a financial advisor or a coach or a healer, like that's part of the commitment that you sign up for as well. And the idea is that we are providing a light enough structure so you feel supported, but also the flexibility so you can truly make this yours. And with that, I'm handing it over to Rosalva.
Thank you, Sukjin. I just want to make sure my audio is okay. Sukjin and Susie, you can hear me? Okay, thanks. I will try to project a little bit more too. So I get to talk about eligibility. Many times folks ask us, what are the requirements so I can apply? And really what we're looking for is to make an opportunity for folks who recognize themselves as having done community work as a significant part of their lives. And what significance means varies by individual. So if you are a young person coming into this work and you've been doing this for 2 to 3 years, that's a significant portion of your life. If you are an elder who has been doing this over the arc of their lifespan, that's a significant portion of your life. We're really leaning into our community here to help us self-identify themselves and make the application for this opportunity. If you are on the fence and you're not sure whether you should apply, put that application in. Let us determine that on our end. If you have questions, reach out to us. The hard requirements that we want to make sure that we're being transparent about is that you do need to be 18 by the time the application closes, which is August 26th of this year. This opportunity is specifically for Black, Indigenous, or people of color. You must reside within Minnesota or any of the Native nations whose territories are occupied by Minnesota, and be able to receive this funding in your own name electronically or to a financial banking institution. Or if it's a check that you're needing to be dispersed, that has to be in your name and you're going to need to be able to cash that. These are requirements that we need to have organizationally to be able to get the funds out, and they're lessons that we've learned over time through our other programs here at Nexus. We also require a valid mailing address, and that goes in line with our disbursement funds and identity requirements. Next slide, Susie. Thank you. So once you're selected, we wanted to make sure that the requirements that we had weren't all upfront. This is only for folks who have been notified that they've been selected and are being asked if they want to continue in the process and are making the commitment. At that point, we will reach out to you and ask that you submit a W-9 and a form of identification. We do have a link on our website that outlines what acceptable forms of identification are. There's both primary identification docs, which you just need one of, and there's secondary, which we'll need to submit two of. Because we have a deep commitment to our community and we're leaning into community to help us resource this funding for Black, Indigenous, and people of color, we ask that you also submit, when selected, a letter from another BIPOC community member who speaks to the impact of your work. And at that point, we will offer a commitment letter, which will outline all of these things, including the dates of our meetings, and ask you to sign that you agree to attend all our fellowship dates. Next slide. So the other question we sometimes get asked is this for me? Who are you looking for? What are the parts of these questions? How do they fit in? And am I the right person to take the sabbatical? One of the things we heard loud and clear from our sabbatical design committee members and also from community in general, who's been very gracious and reached out to us, is that we need less barriers as we provide these opportunities. We need to make the process be one that feels good and doesn't ask for things that are either harmful to us or difficult to obtain. And so we want to recognize that we believe that everyone is a leader in the work that they do. And so once again, that requirement about spending years of your life dedicated to making the world better for your communities of color can look like many things. In our frequently asked questions, we identify a few examples of what that might look like. And I want to lift those up here just for a moment. This can mean you're a community elder who holds spaces in a dining area for dialogues to continue. It can be a young queer activist who's working tirelessly to get those gender neutral bathrooms in their college spaces. It can be an auntie who's cooking delicious meals for people in the community. There's many, many different examples. And once again, we encourage you, if you're not quite sure, send the application in. Community change, we also want to point out the community change looks different. It can take place in your workplace, it can be part of what you're doing. It can be personal, something that you do in your own life. It can be part of a larger, grander organization. So something that is looking to change legislative efforts or a narrative around how we view things. Or it can be something very hyper local. Perhaps you're helping with a community garden in your neighborhood. Community change looks different, and all of it together, woven together, is what creates strength across our communities. Once again, if you have more questions, feel free to look at our FAQs that's posted online or reach out to us as well. Next slide. So the rhythmic sabbatical, I always get really excited talking about this. If you are unable to commit to the continuous sabbatical, the 3 months, or this isn't just the right time for you, we do have another offering we'll be putting forward in the spring of 2025. We've lovingly named this a rhythmic sabbatical because we recognize not everyone can take those 3 months off, or they can't completely disconnect from all their responsibilities. Perhaps you care for loved ones within your community. Perhaps you are serving in a position on a school board, or you're just unable to leave those things behind, but you still know and deserve rest. What we're doing is cultivating an experience where you'll still have the 10 peers that you'll engage in rest experiences and practices over a week at a time, 2 weeks at a time, a weekend, and it'll go over a 6-month span of time. And we're hoping that this experience will provide more access to folks who oftentimes are unable to completely disconnect for those 3 continuous months. Next slide.
Okay, I was having trouble finding my unmute button. I get to talk about the application process with you all. So let me go to the next slide. Here we go. If you didn't already know, our application has been linked as a PDF on our website. The application itself is not yet open until August 5th, but if you wanted to review it and, get a feel for what we'll be asking, you have the opportunity to do that now. Other than contact information and some demographic questions, we do ask these 4 narrative questions. What has your experience with rest been? We define rest as activities, physical movements, or experiences that bring you deep joy, peace, and make you feel restored. How would you like your rest practice to be? How do you envision the sabbatical resources support your vision for rest? And then tell us an example of a community change work you are most proud of. These questions, they'll help us learn more about you. I want to emphasize that we will not be selecting folks based on how they respond to these questions. We are actually going to be using a random selection tool, which I'll speak to in a little bit. But when we drafted these questions, I think one thing that we really wanted you all to take out of it is, if anything, you got time to think about what rest means to you and how you want to strengthen or maybe start your rest journey. If anything, we hope that these questions help you dream a little bit. You can see in the slides that each response, we're asking you to respond with up to 300 words. Up to is the key word here. You don't have to use all the 300 words if you choose not to. If your story is less than 300 words, then cool, great. If it's a sentence long, awesome. We just want you to make sure you don't feel the pressure to have to use all of the words. We all tell stories in different ways, so I hope that you feel comfortable in sharing sharing that story. And then let's go here. So our selection process, how this will work is we'll be receiving your applications between the time frame, August 5th to the 26th. As they come in, we'll be reviewing them for eligibility, completeness, and alignment with our funding criteria. What that means is, are you eligible for this? Going back to what Rosalba and Sukjin kind of shared and outlined of our requirements. Is your application complete? We will be reaching out to folks before the deadline if their application is not complete to make sure you still get a chance to submit that. And then alignment with our funding criteria, again, back to the eligibility and requirements that we have for you all. Once we review those, all eligible applicants will be put into a pool, and then we will be selecting people at random, 10 folks. Then once those people have been selected, we'll reach out to everyone to update you on your status. If for any reason an applicant, or I'm sorry, a selected fellow has to withdraw or can't participate anymore, then we will run the random selection tool again to find someone to take their place. Let me see. Yeah. Also want to share that this random selection process, our decision, was really encouraged and, or I guess suggested by community, by our sabbatical design committee, and some of our Nexus buddies who have done a similar process. By no means is it perfect. We know that applications in general can be very time-consuming and a lot of emotional labor. So we hope that, we know that this isn't a perfect process, but we do hope that by making it a little bit of an easier process, it does encourage folks to take on this opportunity. And our save the dates, again, applications open August 5th, close August 26th at 11:59 p.m. We do have one more virtual session on August 12th, so if you want to come again, feel free to, but we encourage you to also share with others who you think would benefit from this opportunity. And our registration for that is online on our website. And yeah, and so that's the information we have for you. We will open up to questions now, and I I think I'll stop sharing the screen so that we can see each other's faces. If you need me to bring up the PowerPoint again, please just let me know and I can do that.
We see some questions here already in the Q&A. And if you have a question, this is a great time to drop it in. We can start taking the questions as the rest of you start, populating that. So should we go from top to bottom, team?
Mhm.
All right. The first question that we have here, and I'll read it out for those of you who may not have access to looking at the words right now. Someone asked, have you experienced a sabbatical and what would you recommend in your experience on how we can prepare to submit our story in for this sabbatical opportunity? So we'll take the first one before the other question that was named here. That's a really good question. I'll say personally, I've not done it myself, but we have actually spoken with a number of people who have either self-funded their sabbatical in the past or their places of employment, provided that opportunity. And one thing that really keeps coming up over and over again is that need to actually make sense of what rest is for themselves, because that has just been so deprived from all of us for a long time. And a lot of them talked about reaching out to loved ones or talking to other people that they could trust. And so that sense of like community processing and sense making was really key. And also like what that actually eventually looked like for the individuals were very different. Like some people, went and visit their ancestral homeland. Some people took the time off and right, some people, pick back up something they love. Like one person picked up running, which they used to love a lot but never get a chance to do anymore, right? So like what that specifically looks like differs for people, but that deep search and exploration felt very similar in terms of that need. Hence we factor that into building that time at the start for the cohort to sense make together, to work with their loved ones to figure out what the arrangements are so that they could truly rest. Rosalva and Susie, what else might you add for that question?
I think what I would add is that that is part of the intentionality that comes with the workshop dates that we have required for folks, is that we're hoping to create an opportunity for folks to learn from each other. And we recognize that folks will take the sabbatical period, those 3 months at different times. There's a whole year in which to take it. And so as people take their sabbatical and others have not yet, there's some storytelling and sharing that's happening during these meetings that can help enrich how you view your time and how you might use that in a way that best serves your needs.
I'll co-sign. I think you both hit it spot on. The second part of that question, is there opportunity to choose in submitting a video or voice recording for the application? Unfortunately not. I know our Nexus Buddies Open Road Fund do allow that. We unfortunately just didn't have the capacity to build it out. We're a team of 3 and they have a lot more people to support, but it's something I think we're hopefully have more time to think about for the next application and the rhythmic sabbatical one. And this next, oh, go ahead, Rosanna.
I was just going to ask, do we want to take turns? I'm happy to read the next one.
Sure, go ahead.
All right. Are there resources to support parents with childcare? And so what I would offer on this question is not specifically that we've carved out resources for childcare, but it was part of the planning and mathing that we did around figuring out how much funding can we offer folks, how much might they need. We looked at different families' earnings across Minnesota, wondered what folks might need in terms of meeting their medical and insurance cost needs, as well as possibly childcare if you had a family in the size of 3. And we did our best estimate, and that's where we came to the $30,000. So the short answer is not specifically for childcare, but it is included in our calculations for the $30,000 over 3 months sabbatical period.
I'll keep rolling. The next question we have is, what if you can't attend all of the in-person sessions? Like if you can't attend one? Um, our encouragement is if you can attend most of it, do sign up, do try your best. They are day long, but they are not too far. We're factoring in like travel times for folks coming from different places across the state as well. So the encouragement is to be able to attend all of it because that is really key as part of the work. But say if somebody gets sick on the day off, right? Because stuff like that happens as well. We will definitely work with our cohort fellows to figure that out.
Our next question, if we have resources that may be of value, how might we connect? Yes, let's connect. I think there's many opportunities for us to connect. If you have resources that you want to share with us, please do so. As mentioned at the beginning of our PowerPoint was that our framework is to connect with the REST ecosystem here. So yeah, if you have resources, send them our way. If you are a person that wants to partner in some way, we are also really excited to do that, whether it be with the sabbatical program or other program, Reimagine Rest. Also, there's a bunch of opportunities in other areas of our work. We are actually looking for people to support our cohorts, specifically healers, financial dreamers, life coaches. So if you do any of that or know people who would be willing and want to help out, we're hoping that cohort members can be matched with someone who can support their planning for their rest. And in a second, I can drop a link to our interest form in the chat. Yes, so hopefully that answered your question, but if not, please let me know. And Sukjin and Rosalba, if you have anything else to add, please do.
No, I think you got it. I think we might have missed what will be the content in the workshops. So I'm going to try to tackle that one. We are in the process of refining all of the details of the time and space that we will hold people together. Truly, the essence of that time together is to reflect, have shared learnings, and shared practices that we embody together. For the in-person ones, we're looking at a significant portion of your day, so between 6 to 7 hours. And they are, right now, the themes of those workshops are savoring the story of rest, where you reflect on what your story of rest has been as you know it, what you've heard from your family, community, chosen family, friends, thinking about what you want that story of rest to be going forward and what the story of rest is among your peers within that fellowship. The next workshop is the roots of rest. We know that this work didn't originate with us, nor are we the only ones doing this work. So truly lean into the history of what rest has been across space and time and what it continues to be for different communities. And then the next session is about interconnectedness, how rest and reclaiming our own time is part of our shared journey towards liberation. And then the final in-person session that's not the retreat is going to be about inviting and facing resistance. So sometimes resistance to resting comes internally. I'm not accustomed to this. I've been told this story about rest. And sometimes it comes externally from systems or our peers or even our loved ones. And so sitting with that space and thinking through how might we look at the counter narrative of what this is? How might we honor what it currently shows up as? And there are many reasons why it shows up that way. And how do we continue forward to reach the portals and the dream space of rest that we want to accomplish? The virtual sessions will be much shorter time spent together and are truly about connecting you together, although there will be activities in those as well. And we are looking to partner with folks to hold several of these different sessions. So it won't, even though this is an amazing team, Jen, myself, and Susie, we're also looking for other facilitators for those spaces to help us hold these conversations.
I love that. That's awesome. I feel the next three questions are pretty related, so I think I'm gonna speak to them together. So the three sets of questions here that I'm seeing are connecting is the question on I'm going to be enrolled in AmeriCorps at the time of the sabbatical. Has anyone tried to do a sabbatical during AmeriCorps or something similar, right? If there's something else going on in your life. And then the next set of questions is what is your recommendation if you work a full-time job? Do we submit a leave of absence, FMLA? And then the last one that I think matches with this is can you go further into what you mean about stepping away from all obligations? Obviously work, but what about picking random volunteer or organizing opportunities, being a caregiver, etc. So great questions because we're talking about like what does stepping away from any version of a full-time obligation looks like, right? Whether that's AmeriCorps or your job or some of these things that the last person mentioned. So what we're looking for is the opportunity for you to be able to step away from some of those. And what that looks like will really depend on the conversations that you get to have with that place of employment or the obligation that you have right now. So say if you are at a full-time job, being able to have that conversation with employers like, hey, if I am chosen for this, what does that look like? Because some places of employment may have very different requirements of someone stepping away for that length of time. And that will differ depending on the roles that you have. It will differ depending on the place of employment itself. But I think having the understanding of what that might look like would be really key. And similarly for any duration-based opportunities, right? Like an AmeriCorps, or if you have a big contract that you're working on right now, like really talking with the people involved, like what does that look like if you are able to step away? The flexibility that we're trying to build into the continuous sabbatical is that 3 months can happen anytime between September 2024 to September 2025. So maybe the best time to take it, will depend on the context that you're in as well. If after these conversations you realize that, wow, you know what, I asked and it doesn't seem like this is the right time, there's also the rhythmic sabbatical that's Rosalva went through earlier, where those are meant for folks who couldn't step away from their obligations, and that you will if selected for that, it's more time bound, so you don't have to like step away for 3 months the way that this requires you to. So it's just a different kind of rest. And the last bit around what does stepping away from all obligations look like? It's hard to say like, oh, you can't do anything, because for someone, maybe finally being able to dedicate some time to dream about the organizing work that they want to do is restful. Maybe finally being able to spend time with a loved one and caretake for them, like to a certain degree feels restful. Like it's not for us to define that for you. So I think at the heart of it is what is the thing that you need to recharge and have deep rest from, and how might you carve 3 months of spaciousness so that that rest is truly deep for you, and that random volunteer opportunity that you're dreaming of, that you've always wanted to try, feels restful. Great, right? That's part of the thing that you can plan for. But at the heart of it is really like what's going to give you that deep rest. Rosalva, Susie, anything else you'll add to that stack of 3 questions?
No, I think this is really your rest journey. So you're the author of that story and you get to decide how and what rest feels like to you. I think I have the next question. Let me see. Sorry, I lost track.
It's the letter of support one.
Is the letter of support needed as part of the application or after been selected? That will be after you've been selected. You do not have to submit one for the application.
I think I'm gonna pin has the random selection question. It's a good one, and I want to have weigh in from my other team members, but I think I can pick up a few of these others and clear those up to leave a little bit more time. If we apply for this one and didn't get it, can be passed through to the other rhythmic sabbatical opportunity. While we can't store applications and then reapply them the next year, you are invited to apply for both years. Similarly, if you're selected for this round, you make it through selection, and then you're not able to actually take the opportunity, you can reapply next year for the rhythmic sabbatical. The only thing is that if you get this year's sabbatical, you can't get next year's sabbatical. So you can't accept and be on both journeys. Then I'm going to power through this next question really quick. Can the funds be used to travel to international workshops or locations? Absolutely. Just to what Sukjin and Susie touched on, this is your journey, and the way that you create your sabbatical plan is based on what your needs are and what you want to do in that space. And I think there was one more I think I can pick up here. Can you talk more about the experience working with practitioners, financial advisors? Are there conditions? Great question. We offer these as resources for you. There isn't an expectation that we have for you on what that sabbatical journey looks like. So if you have a need for someone to help you think through how best to apply this money to meet the needs that you have for your sabbatical, then that's what that financial advisor slash dreamer is for. It's not because you have to meet a specification of using 20% of your funds to do travel and 13% to do something else. That's not the intention of that. It's really to support you and what your needs are. Same for the practitioners. If you really need a somatic body worker, then that's something that you can request and we can help you connect to. It's not something that is required. So with that, I'll go back to the team and see if we want to hit the random selection process question.
I can pick up that one. So that's a great question. For those of you who could not see that, the question is, has the random selection in the past been a diverse group of people, so representation across various communities is equitable? And how reliable is the random selection? So I think, ultimately, it is still a tool, right? And a tool is only as good as how you use it. And we are, as a team of three, trying to make sure that we do outreach and reach out to communities of color across the state, in different demographics, experiences, like all the other intersectional identities that one can imagine that we hold, right, in this beautiful group that is folks who identify as BIPOC. At the end of the day, it's only 10 slots. And no matter how specific we want to randomize it to, there's always going to be some version of we're not going to be able to hit every single subset of an identity that we hold as a community. And so what we're hoping is by doing the work upfront, by talking to people who, may traditionally exclude themselves from a sabbatical opportunity and say, you deserve this, you should apply this. We're trying to make this as accessible as possible, that right out of the gate, the pool is as diverse as we can get. And if the pool is as diverse as we can get, then I think the randomization will truly reflect the diversity of our communities. And that's the part where we actually want you all to help us. If you know someone, if you know a bunch of people, like, please let them know about this. And if you're like, hey, I know of them, but I don't really have a connection to them, I just want to make sure I mention that this group exists, like, please send us that email at rootsupport@nexuscp.org, because then we can make that outreach happen. That will truly help us make that randomization as true as possible. Also, as Rosalba mentioned during the presentation, this is our first time trying this. We learn a lot from our colleagues at Open Road Fund on their experiences, and from other places who have tried different application processes, right? Nothing is ever perfect. And so we are willing to learn and see how this goes and how might we try and refine this further in the future as well.
Yes. To add to that, I think part of our process is once, we receive applications, we'll be reviewing them, and that will also help us see like which groups of identities and demographics are hearing about this and who else is like who do we need to reach out to. So that is part of our outreach plan as well. Um, okay. Okay, you guys gotta help me because I lost where we're at.
I
Uh,
think I think
mhm.
we're at, can we use our own coaches as part of our resources?
And did you already answer that, Rosalba?
No.
Okay. Can we use our own coaches as part of our resources? I think the answer is yes, right? Yeah. We have people that we're hoping that you all connect us to, but also some folks that have already connected to us that want to support the cohort. But if you already have a trusted person that you're like, this is my person, I know that they're going to help me, and then great, connect with them. You don't have to use all of our resources. They're there for the folks who might not have those connections. I think, yeah.
I can take this next one. Does everyone selected receive 30,000 or is there a determination based on financial need? If so, how is that done? Everyone who is selected will be offered the 30,000. Folks can choose to accept part of it and put the rest back in the pot for that group in case there are folks who need additional funds, or they can accept the full amount. Um, we also have limited funding that is available for folks who may have something that comes up during their sabbatical that was unexpected, and they can let us know that they're going to need additional funds. It is a smaller, more restricted pot of money, but we wanted to recognize that things happen even during the times that we plan for rest and restoration. So the short answer is no, it's not based on financial need. The 30,000 is the starter amount. And if folks within the sabbatical come in and say, actually, I don't need 30,000, I only need 20, I want to put 10 back in for other folks who might need it, that's a possibility.
So the next question I have here is, if you apply to be a partner as a healer, can you still apply for this fellowship? The short answer is yes, because we have many different ways that you can get connected with us as a healer. There's the Reimagine Rest series. There's our Heal the Healers work. There's a lot. So I feel like, if you are so lucky as to be selected for the fellowship and you're working as a healer as well, like, there's many ways we can partner. So please do apply.
Okay. Next question. This is a deeply logistical question, but how will the 30,000 be taxed, and will it or has it caused any issues for folks? So this is our first year doing this, so I think we'll learn a lot. But yeah, actually, Rosalva Sigchen, wondering if you know a little bit more on how this will impact folks.
Yeah, part of our learnings that we took from our partners here at Nexus, which includes the Open Road Fund, is that we will be distributing this money under the qualification of a grant or a gift, which holds different impacts for different folks. It's not possible for us to give advice as far as tax implications, but many folks have asked, what if I'm on assistance or receive supports? Is this going to impact? Truly thinking through it, $30,000 is going to impact how much funding you have, regardless of how it comes in, whether it's a gift or other means. And so we really encourage folks to consider their circumstances and then consult with their case managers or workers or other folks that they may be connected with. Because what we don't want to do is for this to come as a surprise. I know that's not a clear-cut answer, but it just can vary across so many different spaces and conditions that we're not able to give one full answer to folks.
And to add, I think if that is your case, I would say apply and then figure out the logistics later. There's no harm in applying. You won't receive the money right away. So that gives you a little bit extra time to figure out what works best for you.
For those who may have missed an answered question, there was a question around whether the sabbatical plan is a part of the application process or something that gets created once selected. It's after you get selected. The part that we're looking for is the dreaming part, right? It's like, how might you envision using that deep 3-month rest? So like give us that vision. Don't worry about like, outlining all the specifics. The other question that I'll take is the question about the in-person meetings. Are they all day, partial day? Great question. It's partial day. We're planning to have it, somewhere around the middle part of the day, which gives people time to travel in and then to leave at the end of the day, especially if they're traveling from other parts, well, across Minnesota. We have yet to finalize the location. We're trying to get a good spread so that the burden of travel doesn't just fall on certain groups. But that's something that we're working through.
I just want to do a quick time check. I know that we haven't reached all the questions yet. Do we want to stay on to finish them or invite people to email us? I think you're muted, Sikjin.
I think we can finish the ones that we have currently in time really quickly. And then the rest invite folks to email us directly.
Okay.
Yeah.
Great.
I can take the reporting one real quick. No reporting, but you're required to be part of our evaluation work. So that's mostly storytelling about your experience, along the way. So you don't have to write your own report.
I'll take the question about healers and practitioners. We do have a separate pot of money that we've set aside for supporting the healers and practitioners that may be requested for a specific amount of meetings. And so if you choose to have more with them besides the ones that we've accounted for in our calculations, then you would have to dip into your own 30,000, but we do have funds set aside to help pay for that already.
So if you want to take a cross-country road trip during your 3 months, can you use some of the funds for that? Yes. Yeah, if you want to go on a cross-country road trip, do it. Yeah, again, however you define rest and how you want to practice it, that's up to you.
And yes, it's taxable income. But the tax implication varies depending on your circumstances, as Rosalva described. I think we got to the very end.
Nice.
That's awesome.
Great. I'm just gonna quickly, I know, we're at time. Oh, that's not what I wanted. Go back to the PowerPoint. Yeah, so I just want to remind folks, if you have more questions, please check out our website and our FAQ page. We might have already answered your question on the page, but if not, then please do email us at rootsupport@nexuscp.org, and we will do our best to respond to you quickly. Always share
Susie,
this.
could you put the slides up? Sorry.
Oh, are you not seeing them?
Mm-mm.
Okay, let me try again. Oh, I see what happened. Okay, are you seeing it now?
Yes, thank you.
Great, yeah. I forgot I'm working with 2 monitors right now. But yes, so here's our email if you want it. Please email us with any other questions you might have. Check out our FAQ page, our website as well. We will be putting this recording on our website, so if you know anyone who couldn't make it today, you can direct them to the website to check out this session. And then again, if you know anyone or you yourself are any of these things, somatic body worker, financial dreamer, life coach, or any type of guide and healer, we are looking for folks to support our sabbatical cohort. So I think I've already put the link of the form in the chat. Share it with others as well. And yeah, I'll end there. I'm so grateful to you all. Thank you for having attended. I'm so glad that many of you are interested and are desiring to take time for yourself, reclaim your time, and rest. Anything else that co-directors you want to share?
I think that was everything. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you all. Have a great day.